I have the authority to discuss this matter this morning. I have the authority. I have the authority because it's not a matter pending in court of law, so there shall be nothing like prejudice. I have the authority because the way that NBC is created, it is so laboriously fractured that if they say you pay fine of this because that thing you did yesterday was wrong, you have to pay the fine. I wouldn't know where the Nigeria Press Organization was when the law creating NBC was packaged together, that it was left with absolute power. And we know that absolute power corrupts absolutely. So therefore, it couldn't be that everything NBC says is right. But having read through the law that created NBC, the law was so packaged in such a way that NBC would always be the only righteous man coming from heaven to operate on it. I think time has come for the NPC, for the Nigeria Press Organization, for the Guide of Editors, for the newspaper, whatever you call them, to come together and make sure that something is drawn and taken to the National Assembly. Call it individual bill, call it organizational bill, call it a member bill, call it whatever, so as to restructure it because it is so defective the way it is now. For example, Channel had to pay 5 million. I will talk about the Channel 5 million. If this is the only one thing I discuss today, before I hand over to my brother from Loma, I don't mind. I will discuss about the payment of 5 million from Channel and the rule some colleagues from the campaign organization of the president-elect carried out, mostly Bayo Onanuga, because he signed the letter to NBC. He signed the letter complaining that what Shannon did in an interview with Datti Baba-Ahmed was criminal, and that the need to sanction, of course, writing that letter is included in the act that established the NBC. I forgot the section now, but if I go back, I will remember the section, because it's a document I've read now then often and often. But thank God, today what we are discussing is that the National Human Rights Commission yesterday cautioned the NBC, saying that it is not all the sanctions that might be right as you thought it to and as you slated it to. So let's all take precaution. They are like brother organizations. The National Human Rights Commission is an establishment of law from the angle of the government. As the name implies, National Human Rights Commission is to protect human rights. And of course, we have the NBC there to regulate the television, the radio, the broadcast equipment or instruments. So I want to believe that the NBC should, I want to recommend that NBC should listen to what the Human Rights Commission, the National Human Rights Commission, is advising. But even if we take it and limit it to this point I've just made now, it means we shall be employing the NBC, the National Broadcasting Commission, to be on its discretion. So, for example, if a waiver of a sanction comes, the Nigeria Guide of Editor, the newspaper preparatory of something of Nigeria, the Nigeria Press Organization, and everyone involved in all this, if they could move to amend the law, that will not be relying on the mercy or the discretion of NBC anymore. It will be a matter of legal expectation Meaning, this is what the law says. Do it according to this way. Because sometimes when you read the act that established the NBC, you want to ask, where are the operators? Where are the personnel dramatis in this action? When this was being, because it is not a good document at all. But for now, that is what the law says, and it remains the law of the land. So if NBC now using it anyhow, it means we slept on our right at the initial, that this must be bundled out. And it is for this reason that the National Human Rights Commission, they've come to the point that the practitioners of the media, the press, the practitioners of this issue are now coming to lay more emphasis on National Media Compliance Commission, which is known as the National Ombudsman. I should have brought the one very notable Nigeria Ombudsman who has read all his books, everything, to become Ombudsman, who will be practicing in the United States of America, but refer back home to Nigeria. But unfortunately, all throughout yesterday, his phone numbers did not click. I would have brought him in to lay more emphasis on this. So let us look at that and amend this, because what happened in the case of Channel is the latest. So we must talk about it, because there are many blunders to me that the NBC must have. Because as we are talking now, NBC may be thinking that so the guru is condemning us. Let us look for one way or the other to hook something to this, and once you bring it, my organization will pay. But thank God, there is no way they can hook anything to me, because I have read the thing. Nothing stopped me within the constitutional privilege I have of freedom of speech, of not mentoring it. That thing measures quite a few of things. Those things are not subversive, because he told you he has gone to the court. If you lose the election, if you want anything, there are many ways of effecting this. You can go to the street, which is an illegal way, because you'll be looking for chaos. You may want to talk of interim government, like what is on ground now. Interim government. We'll be hearing of interim government. Like as I said yesterday, the first person to propose interim government is Papa Afe Babalola around April 2022. And he laid down the reason constitutionally. You will see the facts he brought down. You may want to examine it or not examine it, but I remember April 2022 when he came out with that. I came on there and said that nobody should talk of interim government, because the constitution we are operating now does not give any room for interim government, nothing like interim government. And I gave an example where interim government had come all over the world, and I narrowed it down to Nigeria interim government when Papa N.S. Sholeko of blessed memory became he became the president, whatever name you may want to give to him, without firing bullet, which is a coup, or without capturing the bullet, the ballot paper inside the ballot boxes. Then interim came. Interim is what Yoruba call Ijoba Fidi Hen. So interim came. So it was bad. Then the next person to propose it was Pastor Chris Okuti. And even in his own presentation, you could see chaos, as he recommended that the legislation should be removed. So you collapse the judiciary with the executive together. That is nothing but chaos. Then I said that even whatever we arrive upon, if you don't agree, go to the court. And that is where we are now. So this man had gone to the court with his party, with his principal. So whatever other thing is saying, he is quoting a section of the law. Let the fan that came to China cannot find justification. That is the reality of it. He cannot find justification. If he quoted and he said that if this condition, a provision of the constitution is not made, then you swear in any person or you made the person the president. He said that would be illegality. The person that has authority to take a decision either to sanction or not to sanction on that question shouldn't be the NBC. It should be the court of law. It should be the court of law because these are matter already in court. And if there's anybody again to challenge the otherwise of his statement, it should equally be caught that, oh, a matter is pending here and we are discussing it. Such prejudice matter is not to be decided by NBC. And NBC was still sleeping when the camp of the president-elect, I know all the people that are involved in this matter. They wrote a letter to NBC. Oh, didn't you hear what Shane had just allowed somebody to air? Shane invited guests, and the person said this. Even there, we can see Akibaloyi cautioning the man that this is very serious matter. You cannot go there without proving it. And the man said, yes, according to the section of the Constitution and Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. He said, if you decode that and, that will bring the matter out. When the letter that, because I read a copy of the letter that Bayo Onanuga signed, got to NBC, it was then NBC woke up. It is true. Oh, okay, 5 million. These are not the way to run it. That is that. Then again, I would advise my colleagues and my friends on both sides of the divide, they should be very, very careful. By Onanugo, the language used in that, at least his signing shows vicariously ability of law steps down in his house. He signed it. The language, that was not what was committed. Then, in a situation that your principal is president-elect and the matter is before the court, it may be likely that he may win because there is no record of court decision on presidential contest that overturn anything. And I'm not going to talk too much about that this morning. And now you are writing this type of letters. What the truth of the matter is that Bayo Onanuga and all your colleagues say, those who hear and those who don't hear, you people should be careful because what it portrays a danger to the Nigerian Federation that by the time your principal is sworn in as president, that the human rights of speech, of opinion, would have been thrown to the Atlantic Ocean. That this is a government that is coming in will not tolerate any questions, will not tolerate anybody. That Nigeria has forfeited their right to
expression,
freedom of speech. This is what it is showing, and we are just managing this thing because of the taste of democracy. Let us manage it, whatever that remains. Before 2027, maybe amendment would have been brought to that no one commission, they call it independent commission, which is not independent, will be manipulating us anyhow. Barrister Mike Igini is still suffering from this thing because he almost take his life by saying, no, this is the answer to this thing. And people are now asking him, what did you think you did? So, Bayo Onanuga and Kwanko, we should not, and again, the spokesmen should be restricted. Why don't we operate within the region? To me, the ultimate is that the operators, the media operators, should come together, should draft a bill, present it to the National Assembly for amendment so that the law on ground that establishes or that established NBC should be amended. Because if you don't use that, if you don't use the instrumentality of law, it means you'll be depending on their discretion, which can tell you, no, this is what the law says, and of course that is what the law says. But that shouldn't make Nigeria greater. The law as it is on ground now concerning NBC cannot make Nigeria greater. Can only reduce all Nigerians to cowards and that will be death of freedom of speech in a democracy.